Shut up. Everything's set up. We lit in this. Yahoo! Until your dreams come alive. And all of the angels sing, turning your world into a song. I wanna keep you safe and sun breaks through the clouds, light, warmth, love, all you want of, what your soul needs most. This is a haiku book that takes each of the cards of the tarot and there's a haiku on them. The person who wrote this, Gail Perigo Hamby. It's a really cool book. And it really does do a great job at encapsulating each card in such a simple way. And, you know, the haiku is a treasured format of the poetry of prose, where really it challenges you to take these larger concepts and these larger ideas and to encapsulate it in such a quick form that's easily digestible but profound in and of itself. We got the Sun card to start off this week, start off this Monday night musing, and it's pretty amazing. And the Sun right now being in Pisces, of course, this is. How is Pisces season going for you all? First of all, let's just start there. How is Pisces season going for you all? I do feel like this Pisces season will be. The first thing I heard was difficult, but I don't think it will be as difficult as Aquarius season. But I do think that there is a potential for pitfalls within this Pisces season. Pitfalls meaning that there's definitely a potential for us to kind of block ourselves in or to corner ourselves. But since this is mutable water, we actually have the opportunity to really get out of these corners that we may block ourselves into. Whereas in Aquarius season, since it was fixed air, a lot of the delusions and illusions, a lot of the entrapment was within our own mind. Now that we're in mutable water, we can definitely create a fantasy of terrifying proportions. You know, we can definitely petrify ourselves during Pisces season, but we can also experience some of the greatest miracles during Pisces season. So, how are you all doing? Welcome to Astro Fenixx, flying into the moment yet again and radiating love as always. This is your Monday night musing. How many spiritualists / astrologers / esoteric, I guess you could say practitioners or just really lovers of the arts, you know, that will smoke or vape on camera? And then I do have, it is Pisces season, and the funny thing is that I'm having to forgive myself and have compassion for myself, because I said I wasn't going to drink while Mercury was in shadow. Because Mercury is in shadow right now, went in shadow last week. But, while I haven't been drinking as much since Mercury's gone into shadow, I don't know, I guess after, I'd already decided yesterday, even though I was having a good day yesterday, that I was going to buy some sake, and I'm also buying some coolers and stuff, so I mixed it. But then this morning kind of got off to a rocky foot for me, and I kind of let myself go there. I really did. And it was honestly a great day. And it was a good day. There's nothing really super bad that happened today. There's some frustrations, of course. So this helps to kind of take the edge off a bit. Mercury does go retrograde next week, and that's when I know for sure that I need to not drink and stuff like that. But until then, cheers. So whether you have water with you, maybe you have a drink with me, we have tea, milk, whatever it is, cheers to Pisces season. Cheers to this revitalization of our soul. Cheers to this releasing, because in Pisces season we release, but we also really, everyone is super tuned in and tapped into the magic. Everyone's super tuned in to their soul on such a deep level. So cheers to that. Cheers to Pisces season. I hope you all have a wonderful Pisces season. Really. So, let's talk. Let's talk about these energies, all right? It's funny, I didn't actually take any notes for this, but after looking at Planet Watcher for just a little bit, most of the focus this week is going to be on Venus. Venus is actually taking a lot of the focus off of Mercury. A lot of the focus has been on Mercury since it's been in shadow, and since Mercury doesn't like to be in Pisces, logic is out the window. Logic left like left a long time ago. Logic is out the door and is on a cruise ship that's going to be lapping its way around the Earth until Mercury comes out of until Mercury goes direct and comes out of shadow. Like, and that's the interesting thing about it, because Mercury is going to retrograde at 29 degrees of Pisces. So this retrograde that we're having is going to be super intense and super powerful. And it can be pretty bewildering for people who aren't really ready to, because we have to understand, whenever planets go retrograde, a lot of these energies are turned within. So right now, what people are experiencing while Mercury's in shadow is a lot of their thoughts and their mind, and because Mercury also rules the neighborhood, it rules your direct surroundings, it rules your extremities. So what people are experiencing right now when Mercury in shadow is all of these kind of breakdowns in communication when it comes to, how we think about where we are right now in our life, how we think about magic, how we think about, our emotions and our sensitivities, how we think about the world at large, how we think about the collective, and how we've gotten to this point. But what's going to happen with this Mercury retrograde is that all these thoughts, all these emotions that are triggered by our thoughts are going to be turned within. And people are going to go ballistic when Mercury goes retrograde if they're not really aware of what's going on. And that's what those people. So utilize this time especially to kind of gather your bearings, because when Mercury goes retrograde, it's going to be one of the most intense Mercury retrogrades that we've had in a while. Now, the interesting thing about Mercury retrograde is that if you're kind of getting into the New Age community, or you just kind of, or even just a passerby of New Age philosophies and this resurgence of astrology, a lot of people hear Mercury retrograde and it's like this big, scary, big bad wolf type thing. Oh, Mercury retrograde is coming. Oh, like even groups of people outside of this growing community, outside of like this push to really explore these esoteric arts in a newer way, even groups outside of this growing movement recognize Mercury retrograde. It's the only retrograde really that's recognized outside of it. No one really knows about Venus retrograde or Mars retrograde or these other retrogrades, which we have a lot coming up. So really this week is kind of actually sort of like this last week and the last push. But what's weird about this last week and this last push is that, we're going to have this Mercury retrograde, but we also have Uranus, which is going to be moving into Taurus, which is also going to slow things down a bit. You got to think, Uranus likes speed. Uranus likes to move. Uranus doesn't like to stay at one place for too long, even though it's a slower moving planet. As far as the outer planets beyond Saturn is concerned, Uranus is the fastest moving planet. It moves faster than Neptune. It moves faster than Pluto. So out of those three, it's the fastest moving planet. So you can say that aspect of our consciousness, beyond the, I guess you could say, transpersonal planets, which are Jupiter and Saturn, because those planets, Jupiter takes 13 years to go around. Saturn takes about 29 to 30 years to go around. So they're personal planets. They're kind of generational, and they're kind of removed from the ego a bit, but at the same time, there's a little bit of that ego still there. That's why Mars is exalted in Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn. And that's also why Mars likes to be in Sagittarius, because it's a fire sign, which is ruled by Jupiter. So there's still some ego involved with those two planets, but they're a little bit more removed from the ego aspect. Uranus is the first planet that is pretty much absolved of ego. Ego is not really in the equation. So that's why Uranus is savage. That's why Neptune is savage. That's why Pluto is savage. But out of the savage planets, Uranus moves the quickest, and it's about to move into arguably the slowest sign of the zodiac. So things are about to slow down. About to slow down, guys. They're about to slow down. So let's take a look at the chat real quick. And let me catch up real fast. Hello. I hope I say your name right. Eleni or Eleni. Thank you so much for joining. Of course, we have Spells Inc. Shout out to Spells Inc. You've been definitely faithful since day one. I really appreciate you here. Um, and let's see. Hold on, let's see. Where does put my Sag dad is trying to buy my trust through food and candy. Yeah, Sag. It's interesting. Sag dad. So he like I don't know. Whenever I think of like a Sagittarius, I think of Santa Claus. But simultaneously, I guess you would get the opposite of Santa Claus as well. So people have to understand that Sagittarius can be Santa Claus, but they can also simultaneously be the Grinch at the same time. Let's see. I'm also here all this for he asked me about astrology today. We looked up his chart. He wanted to know if he could become a millionaire. He absolutely can become a millionaire, especially with Jupiter in his sign spell. There's definitely a good chance that he could be a millionaire. Let's see. It's awesome that he asked you about astrology, though. Let's see. Oh yeah, I'm still here for all the fortune this season. There is a lot of great fortune to be had this season because we have to think about it. Even though Pisces and Jupiter square each other, and even though this Jupiter Neptune square has been going on for a while, and it will continue to go on for a while because Jupiter is going to retrograde, and they're going to square exactly again. We have to remember that Jupiter esoterically does rule Pisces. So even though it's a square, these energies still understand each other. So there is definitely a lot of fortune to be had right now. A lot of fortune to be had right now. But what's interesting about this is that what's happening is that Neptune is challenging the way that we look at fortune. Neptune is challenging the way that we perceive fortune. Excuse me. Dang. Is fortune simply having millions of dollars in the bank and having 5, 6, 7, 8 cars in a multi-million dollar house? Or is fortune the feeling that you get when you give your niece or your nephew or some young kid a toy and you see their face light up? Now, both are true. Don't get me wrong. Both are true. But what is fortune? I think right now we're being challenged on what fortune and prosperity is. You know, is fortune going to the store and there's like a particular item that they want and there's the last one of that item and you happen to get it and you're like, oh my goodness, this is so fortunate. This is the last one of this item. I've been really wanting this thing and you get it. You know, that's fortune too. Fortune is just waking up in the morning and seeing, just having the sun just pour through your blinds and just it wakes you up. Really, the sun pours through your blinds and wakes you up, and you're just like, wow, it's another beautiful day. Or shoot, maybe you wake up and it's raining outside, you know, and it's like it's still a beautiful day, right? You know, fortune comes in many shapes and forms. And even this whole Uranus shifting into Taurus is going to challenge that as well. It's going to be interesting to see what people consider to be fortune or not. It's got a Cancer moon and Scorpio Mars, which really surprised me. I understand how his Virgo Pluto has been making my childhood weird. The Pluto and Virgo generation, because you know my parents are that generation as well. The Pluto and Virgo generation are super psychic, but a lot of their psychic abilities does come through time, and it does come through just them having to just live through the experiences. And a lot of their psychic abilities actually comes through pain, which is interesting, but it's because they actually have this great ability to take the pain that they are some of the greatest transformers when it comes to transforming through their pain and transforming through their suffering. The Virgo and Pluto generation. Because you got to think, they come after Pluto Cancer and Pluto Leo. So they're technically not the boomers. I think some boomers are included in the Pluto Virgo generation. But you also have to think this is the Virgin Mary. So they're even having to transform what it means to be pure, what it means to be quote unquote perfect. And it's like what we're realizing is that perfection does exist, but it does not exist in the way that we conceptualize or think. So, you know, that's another thing. Shadow Period has been kicking my ass. Anyone? Yeah, it's been kicking my ass. Let's see. Let's see. I'll show. I'm going to make a DNA activation to bypass the retrogrades. Fuck that. Oh, I have something interesting about. I had like this whole like weird vision about DNA and how it could potentially be formed, like the double strand. Like you see how it's formed, like the double strand DNA. Like I have like this whole like vision about how it relates to astrology and the shifting of the ages is super powerful. It actually shifted the way that I looked at the ages and how I looked at the progression of these energies, because things really do move forward and backwards at the same time. Like they really do. Because I mean, if you really even look at it, there are planets that are constantly moving forward, and there are certain planets that will always move forward and will never retrograde. The sun and the moon will never retrograde. They will never go backwards, right? All the other planets can go backwards, but they can go backwards and forwards. But then you have the nodes, which are always going backwards. They will never go forward. They always go backwards. There is a moment there's technically a slight moment, and I can even show you when we get into the charts maybe later, where the nodes barely move forward. Like, I mean, barely, but perceivably they're always going backwards. But the sun and moon are always moving forward, and all the other planets have the ability to go forwards and backwards from our perception. So things are moving forward and backward at the same time. And I think that's something to do with this double strand DNA thing. But let's see. Yes, I like to think that we are a power couple as well as Spells Inc. The interesting thing about power couple is that I actually have a couple of videos I need to make. I have a video about depression that I need to make. I have a video about twin flames I need to make, which I know is a very hot topic in the community right now. But I have a video to make about twin flames as well. But yeah. Ooh, Aries midhaven. So Uranus is leaving your midhaven, is going into your 11th house, which is interesting, Spells, because Uranus rules the natural 11th house. So that's going to be very interesting for you. You're really going to start to meet up with people that actually reflect, that which you're wanting to bring into this world and your career and your purpose. And they're going to actually help you and spur you along in your journey. That's really going to be awesome. Perfection is a continuous process. True words spoken. Perfection is a continuous process. It has to be a continuous process. There's no other way for it to be. There's no other way. There's no other way. Perfection has to be a continuous process. That's why if there's a sign that rules perfection, it has to be a mutable sign. It can't be a fixed sign. It can't be a cardinal sign, because a cardinal sign, it's action, it's initiation. But sometimes they need to be pushed to move and stuff like that. Sometimes they need like a catalyst sometimes, to act. Aries needs very little catalyst to move. Cancer doesn't need as much of a catalyst to move. Libra kind of does. Capricorn kind of does. Fixed signs though, like they're stuck. They're not really moving. Like, you ever try to like move a Taurus on anything? Have you ever tried to like argue with Leo or a Scorpio about things? Have you ever tried to tell an Aquarius truth or facts? No, it's like, no, Aquarius has the truth and the facts. Scorpio is dark about everything. Leo is super like excited about everything, and Taurus just wants to eat. Like, it's like, taking from a Scorpio who is with an Aqua Sun, like, I am fascinated by the Aquarius energy. And there are so many times where I want to be right, or I want to like have the facts, but Aquarius just keeps one-upping me, and I just have to like let go. I'm like, all right, fine, whatever, that's okay, that's all right, whatever, Sure, I can feel a lot of the world's pain and stuff like that, but everything, so it's okay. I guess there's checks and balances in this thing, right? But if there was perfection, it would have to be a mutable sign. And it makes sense that it's Virgo. Because, let's see, Gemini, they get distracted too easily. So they wouldn't be able to focus. Like, if we're like thinking about creating a statue, right? say like carving out a statue. Gemini would get really distracted by everything. They would get distracted by the butterflies flying by. They'll be distracted by the conversations that they hear by passerbys. Gemini would get distracted. Sagittarius could kind of get there, but at the same time, they don't necessarily have the patience as well to just sit and just work on a statue like Virgo does, because they're going to want to party. They're going to go off on an adventure. They're going to want to just dip out. And Pisces is like, they're sleeping. And like, yeah, I mean, they're opposite Virgos. So like a focused Pisces is like one of the most magical manifestors, arguably the most magical manifester in the world. But Pisces is so subject to change. They're so subject to just be like, you know what? I don't know if I want to be here anymore. And they'll just dip off and go off into another country. Like he'll literally just hop on a boat and just be gone. Virgo is the only mutable sign that has really the patience and the focus to actually commit to perfection. And since it's mutable, they know that it's constantly shifting, it's constantly moving. But it's the only sign. That's why Virgo, in many ways, rules perfection. Virgo rules perfection. Scorpio rules purity. And they are two different things. So, but yeah. I'm Aqua Sun, but some weeks ago I realized facts doesn't exist. It doesn't exist in nature. It only intents it's only intents interpreted towards existing experience of a perceived reality. Yeah. My world literally broke when I found out. Aquarius season broke a lot of people, man. Aquarius season broke. Actually, it broke everybody on some level. Aquarius season broke me. It broke me. It was a very intense Aquarius season. Probably because it's the first Aquarius season that we've had since the nodes have shifted. And since the nodes are still, it didn't help. I mean, it did help because we needed it. It was healing. But it didn't help that we had the eclipse in Leo. So it's like the eclipse in Leo at 0 degrees was massive. It was huge. And it really did cap off. But it also set the tone for the entirety of Aquarius season. So if there was any moment when you weren't living in your heart, you experienced some type of setback. And when I say setback, I don't mean it in like a bad way, like you went backwards. I mean, like if you weren't living in your heart, they just didn't click all the way. It just didn't like, And it wasn't like bad. It was just like, I would say that like your understanding of the world was just like slightly shifted to the left or to the right. That's how it was. It was like, unless you're in your heart space, then it'll come together. It was almost like a sigh of relief. But it was like, if you weren't living in your heart during Aquarius season, it was just like, And it's like you thought you had that fact, you thought you knew something, but it just didn't really work out that way. And then, of course, we get the Virgo moon at 0 degrees, and that kicked everyone's ass. That Virgo full moon kicked everyone's ass because it was like we got dropped a reality bomb, a reality atomic bomb, a spirit bomb was dropped on the earth, and everyone was blown open to the reality that they're in right now. And a lot of people were upset. A lot of people are confused. A lot of people are frustrated. A lot of people are depressed. A lot of people are realizing that they are depressed. A lot of people are realizing that they've been depressed, but they didn't want to determine it as such. A lot of people are realizing also that everything is cool, everything is okay, and that things are actually better than they realize. But there is a lot of frustrations right now in the universe. So come with this new moon in Pisces that was coming up that will conjunct Neptune. This is really going to be like setting the tone for like who's going to continue to wallow in their shit and who's going to actually do something about it. Because regardless, everybody's wallowing in some degree. I don't care who you are. Everybody's wallowing in some degree. Everybody. But also, everybody also has the opportunity to take that. And I'm really even thinking about, we were watching Bones earlier today. And one of the characters on the show, Hodgins, at this point in the show that we've been watching, we watched the show a couple times over, but he's paralyzed from the waist down. And in this episode, he thought that there were earthquakes and tremors, but no one else was able to feel it. And it turns out that one of the other people that was working in the lab discovered that he had involuntary movement in his legs, and he was actually kicking things, and he didn't realize it. He couldn't feel it, but he was actually, his body was actually reacting. So the nerve damage that was in his legs was actually beginning to fire again and work, even though he couldn't feel it. So in many ways, that's what's happening. And what's interesting about Pisces energy is that Pisces can feel everything. But what's also interesting is that there are areas in each and every one of our lives where we have been paralyzed. Pretty much since Chiron went into Pisces, we've been paralyzed. And we had to go paralyzed in that place because we had to almost know what it was like to not have that, so we can build up an appreciation for it. Now that these aspects of ourselves, whether it's physical, emotional, spiritual, mental, now that these areas of our life are firing back again and we're starting to get involuntary movements, we're going to start to feel those areas again. And even though there's pain there because we've been paralyzed in that aspect, we're also going to be learning how to say a beautiful thing. It's almost like a superpower was taken away from us to be upgraded. You know, in a sense, it wasn't really taken away from us. We just forgot about it. We felt like we couldn't use that superpower anymore because it was taken away from us. But really what was happening is that the universe was working on it and upgrading that superpower so that when we get it back, we can do better with it. We can do more with it. And that's really what I feel is going on right here. With that Virgo full moon, that's actually what happened, because you got to think, Virgo is an earth sign, so in many ways it does co-rule the bond. This goes into Taurus. Some people are actually going to take their first steps again, metaphorically speaking, right? They're going to take their first steps again. It's going to be really awesome. It's going to be really beautiful, actually. But everybody kind of got some of their mojo back with that Virgo full moon. But the reason why it was such a painful full moon for a lot of people is because they hadn't, whether they felt it or not, they hadn't been aware of that aspect of themselves having any type of movement and having any type of life until that moment. And it's been void for such a long time. Arguably, like I said, since 2010, arguably. That's 9 years. That's a long time to go without that energy. That's a long time to go without that aspect, that superpower. Now we're getting it back. And with Chiron going into Aries, Uranus going into Taurus, now it's going to be about, what do we do with this power? And how do we value the superpower? How do we value this new knowledge that we have? How do we value the innovations that we've come? You got to think, Uranus rules innovations. And Uranus has not been in Taurus for, what, 80-something years? We didn't have the internet at that point. I don't think, let's just look up real quick when was the last time all right, let's just look up the last time Uranus was in Aries, Taurus, excuse me, which had to been, let's see, it had to been in the let's do 1930s. Let's see, Uranus. Okay, no, it's after that. So let's do 1940s. Okay, so it's between let's see. All right, so the last time Uranus was here, let's see, we have 1936, 1937-ish or so. And let's look at when the internet really, especially considering how far the internet has come to this point. Now we're going to start to see, how do we value this new resource and this new tool that we have? All right, so let's look at, when was the internet invented? Was the internet invented? And we can also look at when was it available to the public, because it was probably invented long before. The history of the internet began with the development of electronic computers in the 1950s. So Uranus was out of Taurus by that point. When was internet available to the public for public use? Let's see. History of the internet. Okay. This is huge, guys. I don't think we really thought about this. So the history of the internet begins with development of electronic computers in the 1950s. The initial concepts of wide area networking originated in several computer sciences laboratories in the United States. The U.S. Department of Defense awarded contracts as early as the 1960s. So Uranus had definitely left Taurus by that point. And then let's see. I'm trying to see when it was available for public use, which was probably going to be the early 90s. The early 90s is probably when it became available for public use, just about. Let's see. But you got to think about this. Uranus rules the internet, and that's going into Taurus. And Taurus rules self-worth, self-value, and money, and all this aspects. So we got to think. We haven't had a Uranus and Taurus with the internet. We haven't had it. This is new territory. This is new territory. The internet is really primitive, though. It's similar to being a stone wall. The internet is very primitive. Very primitive. But this is the thing. We have not seen this energy. There's rumors that the internet is reverse engineered alien technology from UFOs. I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it. But this is going to be a very powerful shift, guys. There are aspects of ourselves that are literally coming back online and that have been offline for 9 years or so. Since 2010. Really, I guess technically since 2012. But there are aspects of ourselves that went offline because they had to be worked on. And we have been unaware of it. And now that we're gaining movement and sensation in these areas back, some people are going to be taking their first steps again the moment that Uranus goes into Taurus. Some people, it's going to take them a year or 2 or 3 or the whole process. But regardless is that people are going to start to crawl again. People are going to start to walk again, run again. Some people, by the time that Uranus is done in Taurus, they'll be doing triathlons. And I mean this metaphorically and actually literally. Some people actually, don't be surprised if there is someone who is paralyzed going into this Uranus and Taurus, and then they end up in the news having someone where a doctor will be like, you know what, you're not going to be able to walk again. I'm sorry, you're not going to be able to walk again. And watch them through sheer determination and belief in themselves. They will walk again, and they will do a triathlon. I'm sure it's already happened, but it will happen more when Uranus goes into Taurus. It'll happen more with this Chiron and Aries because it's unlocking our deeper potential. We're unlocking these deeper reservoirs of power right now. Spellzinc is 4:44 a.m. What are you doing awake, man? Although I really do appreciate you sharing this time and space with me. I really do. I appreciate your commitment. But damn, dude, it's early. I forget that I don't forget, but I know you're in Norway and stuff like that. So if I push back my time and stuff like that, no, it's I know it does affect you. But I do appreciate you tuning in. And Venus is in Capricorn, right? Venus does not like to be in Capricorn. But don't get it twisted. Venus, yeah, would prefer to be in Cancer. Venus, yeah, would probably prefer to be in Pisces, since it's ultimate in Pisces. It would prefer to be in these. Hey, what's going on with my thing? Okay, here we go. That's weird. But Venus in Cancer, Venus in Capricorn is not a slouch. You gotta understand, Venus already went toe-to-toe with Saturn. Venus, at this point, actually has gone toe-to-toe with Pluto. That actually was 3 days ago, right? So at this moment right now, Venus is past Pluto, and it's going to be conjuncting the South Node soon, and it's going to be opposing the North Node. Not only that, but it's going to be actually it's sextile in Mercury as we speak. So that's another powerful moment right here with this sextile to Mercury, which of course is retrograde. But here's the thing though, Venus, even though it would rather not be in Capricorn, Venus is no slouch. Venus in Capricorn, especially with all these energies that's going on, especially now that it's sextiling all this Neptunian, Piscean vibe and stuff like that. And yes, it's about to square Uranus too. Venus and Capricorn, now that it's past Saturn, now that it's past Pluto, and yes, Venus might have gotten kind of a stern talking to from these planets, but best believe Venus got some punches in. And Saturn and Pluto are kind of like, okay, Venus means business. Venus in Capricorn is when you get to the top of a drug syndicate and you realize that, you know, the head of the syndicate was a woman, and you do not want to fuck with her. Like, you do not want to fuck with her. Venus in Capricorn will go for what she wants. She really will. And she will do so with class. She will do so with just the savvy. Honestly, does not really care. Mars is a little bit more polished in Capricorn, but Mars also has no problem killing his brother to get the throne, right? He doesn't have a problem doing that. Venus and Capricorn will freaking like. Venus and Capricorn is different. Venus and Capricorn will get to the top in a very savvy way that not many other signs can actually do that. Not many other planets can do that like Venus. Venus and Capricorn will just. And here's the funny thing about Venus and Capricorn: she won't sleep her way to the top either. She won't sleep her way to the top. Not while she's in Capricorn. No. Venus and Capricorn actually has. And not that people who sleep their way to the top don't have respect for themselves. We're getting a little deep here, right? But Venus in Capricorn, she does have a little bit more self-respect. Let's just say that. So she won't sleep her way to the top, but she is undeniable in her way getting to the top. She's undeniable, and she's about to conjunct the South Node right now and oppose the North Node in Cancer. So Venus is about, and when it goes into Aquarius, that's going to be kind of interesting because, you know, it's going to bring about this lightness to this energy. So even though we're going to have Mercury going retrograde, even though we're going to have Uranus, another air sign rule thing, going into an earth sign, we do have this air quality with Venus going into Aquarius. So yeah, we have the other two rulers of air signs slowing down. We have Mercury going retrograde in Pisces, which it already doesn't like to be in, and we have Uranus going into Taurus. So Venus is going to be the only air sign planet that's going to kind of be holding everything up and keeping things light, and it's going into Aquarius, which does do with, in many ways, these facts and knowledge and stuff like that. But it's also going to be this whole thing where Venus is really going to be teaching us to really fill up our own cup in a very powerful way, and to have this like deeper respect for ourselves and this deeper sense of compassion for ourselves. Venus in Aquarius is going to also connect us with very innovative and very much so people that really do remind us of who we are. It's going to really bring about a lot of relationships. A lot of very powerful relationships are going to come up when Venus goes into Aquarius. Especially friendships, especially anything that has to do with business. Relationships wise, as far as like romantic, maybe. But this will also be the perfect time to where people who have been friends for a long time actually get together and actually make the commitment to become lovers in that aspect. But Venus in Aquarius is actually going to deepen relationships and deepen friendships especially. So even though a lot of these energies are going to start to slow down, it's going to be the time where camaraderie and actually helping each other, sticking up for each other, and having each other's back is actually going to rise. And it's going to actually give us kind of like that push and that boost so we can move forward into the rest of this year. Because things are going to slow down. Things are going to get weird. Venus in Aquarius is going to bring a lot of support. Venus in Aquarius is going to bring a lot of support. But Venus, of course, had to get the details and stuff like that. It had to go through Capricorn and for all this other stuff. And Venus is going to be kind of like, it's going to provide us much needed support. It's not going to be a Venus in Cancer where, you know, she's like really gentle with your wounds and cradles you, whatever like that. Venus in Aquarius will tell you the hard, cold truth about it, but she's going to do so in a way that's not just going to just like drop you off a cliff. You know what I mean? She's going to have a little bit more class about it, but she's also going to give you a solution. Whereas Venus in Cancer might listen to your problems and be like, it's okay that you feel the way that you feel, and we need that energy, but we don't have that energy right now. We don't have anything in Cancer besides the North Node, right? So, and with the Venus opposing the North Node, she's going to, you know, remember that. She's going to keep that in mind when she moves into Aquarius, because let's look at this from Venus's perspective. If she's in Capricorn right now, Cancer is her house. This is our one. It provides some facts on what reality is right now, but she's also going to be like, oh, you have the ability to shift that. You have the ability to make it. You have the ability to make of it what you wish. And she might not necessarily cradle and coddle you, but she's actually going to give you some there. We need cuddling energy right now. Not necessarily. We don't necessarily need to. We don't really. Venus in Aquarius is like someone. It's a mother teaching their kid how to, you know, ride a bike or something like that. And when they fall down, they encourage them to get back up. Even if they scrape their knee, they may clean it up and put a bandage on it, but it's like, all right, let's go try it again, you know? Not instead of being like, oh my gosh, my baby. Maybe they do. Maybe she'll do that. Maybe she'll be like, oh my gosh, my baby, are you okay? Mwah, 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 mwah. You know, she may do that, you know, but she's not going to just like, you know, you're never going to ride a bike again because I don't want to ever see you get hurt again. Venus in Aquarius is going to be like, all right, I know that hurt. I know you fell down, but there's a lesson to learn from this. Time for you to get back up on that bike. You know, that's the energy that we need right now. We don't necessarily need to be coddled right now. We need sort of this energy is like, all right, this happened and it's okay. I'm here. I care for you. I will take care of you. But it's time for you to get back up on your feet and start moving again. That's that kind of, this is that kind of energy. And I know people don't necessarily want to hear that. I know people don't necessarily want to hear that, but that is the reality of these energies. I'm telling you. So, let's take a look at these spells and what's going on with you. Hi, Lauren. My Venus is in Capricorn conjunct Mars. Ooh, Venus conjunct Mars in Capricorn. That is actually the makings of a definitely someone who owns their own business and someone who has the ability to make the tough decisions when they need to and is not afraid to take their business and their company in a bold direction, but at the same time is someone who's able to actually understand where their employees is coming from and can actually work with their concerns and be a harmonizer. That's actually a really awesome aspect to have spelling because it's almost like, you know how there's some bosses out there that don't really get what their employees are going through, probably because either they never worked that position before or they haven't worked it in 10 plus years and they forgot about it and suddenly they have no empathy. But Mars conjunct Venus in Capricorn is going to give you that empathy, but also give you that drive to push your business or your company or your purpose, your legacy, or whatever it is that you're going to create in the right direction, in a very powerful direction. It's also going to give you some employees that are like ride or die. You know, it's going to give you that ride or die kind of energy. But yes. That sounds like how I parent my daughter. This is that kind of energy. This is that kind of energy. And there's nothing wrong with the coddling energy. We need the coddling, motherly energy like that, where it's almost like, yes, I don't ever want you to get hurt again. But there's a time and a place for that energy, and now is not that time and place. Sorry, all we have in Cancer right now is the North Node. We don't have energies. We don't have energies in Scorpio, and we have energies in Pisces, but that's not the motherly energy. The motherly energy, if anything, it's Taurus and Cancer, and Uranus is about to move into Taurus, which means that Gaia is going to be concerned with renewing her vows with Uranus over the next 8 years. That's what they're going to be concerned about, renewing their vows and trying to figure out what the hell are we going to do with our children here, us. What the hell are we going to do with our children here? Because they're fucking shit up, but we gotta renew our vows so they know what to do. You know what I mean? So that's what's gonna happen. Like mommy and daddy are about to renew their vows and shit like that, right? And we don't have this Cancer energy. We're not gonna get it until the sun goes into Cancer, which I believe that we're also gonna have an eclipse around that time. So that's gonna be super powerful. So we'll get a little bit more of that energy then, especially when, like I said, when the moon and sun meet up in Cancer. Of course, that's looking a little bit more towards the future, which I guess I can look that up for you guys just to see. Let's see. When do we want to get that eclipse? Because I want to say, yeah, we're going to get the lunar eclipse in Cancer, and that's going to be. Yeah, it's going to be in Capricorn. Let me go back one because I feel like there's supposed to be another one. Yeah, so yeah, we'll get the new moon solar eclipse at 10 degrees, right? And that's going to be with Mars having just left Cancer and Venus about to come into Cancer. So we're going to kind of get that coddling energy, but at the same time, it's going to be kind of weird. It's almost going to be like, if you want to think that Mars is like the father and Venus is like the mother, Mars is charging ahead into Leo and Venus is still in Gemini. So it's almost going to be like we're caught up in the divorce. That's such a weird analogy, but it's almost going to like we're going to feel like we're caught up in the divorce, and we have to just decide to, you know what, despite what's happened here, I still need to live my best life. That's going to be the new moon in a nutshell. But then when we get that lunar eclipse, the full moon lunar eclipse, at that point, we're actually going to have Venus conjuncting the North Node, and it's going to be at 24 degrees of Cancer, which freaking which trines my sun and trines my moon. That's going to be interesting. In any event, Mars is going to be blazing ahead, still going to be in Leo. Mercury is going to be at 1 degrees of Leo at that point. And Venus is actually going to be opposing Saturn, which is going to be kind of interesting as well. But it's going to be kind of interesting because, that's going to be when we get that coddling energy. But that's not until July. We're not going to get this energy until July, guys. So for this first half of the year, it's really a sort of like, you know what? I know things can be hurtful. I know things can be painful and traumatic, but this is going to be a time where we really have to just like kind of pull ourselves up, dust ourselves off. If we get a boo-boo, put a band-aid on it, take a day, rest if we need to. This is Pisces season, so the great thing about Pisces season is that we actually are afforded a little bit more time for self-care, self-healing. So we can kind of like, this is the time where we need to rest more. This is the time when people like typically sleep more. But after this Pisces season, we're going to go through 3 seasons where we definitely don't have any coddling energy. Okay? We're not going to have it. It's Aries season, Taurus season, Gemini season. We're not going to get it. Because you got to think about it. The sun's not going to be in Pisces. All right. Mercury will eventually come out of Pisces, right? Which is a personal planet, but it's the mind, so it's very neutral. It's a neutral planet. Mercury is a neutral planet, and then we have Neptune, which is way out there, really far away from the ego. We really give a shit about ego, right? We're not going to get this energy. There's no coddling energy, man. There's nothing. It's not here. You have to give it to, we have the ability to give it to ourselves right now, but this is really a time where we do kind of have to just like, you know what? You almost gotta like suck it up. It's kind of one of those weird moments where it's like if your arm is caught between the rocks, it's either you cut your arm off so you can live, or you just sit there and wither away. You know what I mean? That may sound kind of dark and shit. You gotta understand, I am a Pluto conjunct Mars conjunct Sun and Scorpio in the 12th house. So I understand 12th house energy, and I'm a Pisces Sun. I understand 12th house energy. And you gotta understand, in many ways, my soul desires that coddling from the mother. Because my Pisces moon is in the 4th house. It really does. But at the same time, I also know that sometimes you just like, when you don't have the energy, you either A, have to give it to yourself, and then honestly, there's a time where you can give it to yourself too much, to where you don't act, you don't move forward. And it's like you fall down once and you want to protect yourself from ever falling down ever again, from ever getting paralyzed ever again. Because like it happens one time, you're like, what if it happens again? What if it happens again? What if it happens again? What if it does? What are you gonna do about it? You know, are you just gonna sit there? Are you just gonna stand there? Are you just gonna worry all the damn time? You're gonna move forward. I should really take my own fucking advice. Let's see. I have my readings. So I have everything on my website. So if you follow the link in the description below, and you go to I want to say it's the readings tab. All of my readings are there. I am considering doing some type of special, but that's just because I'm thinking about changing the format of the readings that I'm doing Spells Inc. So I am considering running a sale for the rest of Pisces season, and I probably will, where I would do like a 30-minute reading, or I'm not really sure how much I'm going to put it at yet. But if I do that, I'm going to have to do it soon, because where's the sun right now? The sun's at like, it's at 7 degrees, right? I might wait until, no, I can do it right now, because 7 degrees is actually a master degree. It's actually one of the degrees of Pisces, because Pisces does rule the 7th degree. Pisces rules 7 and Neptune rules 7. So 7 degrees of Pisces, 16 degrees of Pisces, and 25 degrees of Pisces are very powerful numbers for Pisces. They're like the pure degrees of the Piscean energy. And ironically, at the time of me making this video, the sun's at 7 degrees of Pisces and Mercury is at 25 degrees of Pisces. Like, that's pretty freaking awesome. And Neptune is really close to 16 degrees because it's at 15 degrees in the 50th solar minute. So, and not only that, but Mars is at 7 degrees of Taurus, sextiling the sun. So, like, if you don't believe in synchronicities, like, amazing. If you don't believe in it, then I mean, like I said, I don't know really what to tell you, but I said amazing because it is amazing. It's amazing that these synchronicities happen the way that they do. But I can just pull up my website real quick, actually. Because let's see, astrofenixx.com. Let me go to the services tab. So I have different tiers of readings too. So I have tier 1, which is starting at 75, going up to tier 2 is 100, and tier 3 is 125. I'm probably going to knock the prices of these down. To make it a little more affordable, because I know Now, the tier 3 reading was probably going to at least be $100. And the other ones, I might make it 75 and 50, just because I'm going to change the format that I do. So the tier 1 reading, which will be probably $50, it'll be a 30-minute reading, probably a 30 to 45-minute reading. Tier 2 will be about a 45 to 60-minute reading. And tier 3 will be a 45 to 60-minute reading with a live consultation. So it'll be a recording video, and then if you do the last tier video, which I'll probably make $100, very simple, it will be you'll get the recorded MP4, and you'll also get, a live chat. So we'll do like a live Skype call, and we can actually go over it more in depth. I also have a simple energy tune-up reading, which is $25, which that one I was just really planning on doing tarot cards, but we can talk a little bit about astrology as well with that. So, but all of that's in the description below. My mom got her birthday 7th of March, Pisces, right? And she's born in 1970, and her life path is 7. Oh, wow. You see how that works, Spellzinc? I'm telling you, man. And here's the thing about the numbers when it comes to astrology and numerology. I didn't come up with that. That's knowledge that sort of came into. I follow another astrologer, Christopher Wojtecki, who he came across it, but I think he had a couple other sources. I actually have a book over here that also talks about this as well. That talks about the numbers and how they match the different planets and the different energies. So Neptune does rule 7, lucky number 7, right? Kind of interesting how that works. But yeah, it's all connected. It's incredible. I'm a life path 3, which is interesting because 3 is ruled by Jupiter, and I'm a progressed sun in Jupiter. My Mercury and my rising is in Jupiter. Jupiter is in Sagittarius, excuse me. So which is ruled by Jupiter. So that's like one of my big energies there is 3, expression, creativity. And this is a 3 year. So I'm really excited for this year. Even though like we're almost through February, I'm really excited for this year to see what's going to happen. I'm really excited to do my peace talk with the peace dealer. I'm just like thinking of all the different topics that we're gonna be able to talk about, but it's gonna be really, really fun. But I do kind of want to hop into the charts to kind of show you all what's going on. Before I hop into the charts, I'm going to let's see. So I had the sun here. You had the sun, and then I was going to pull another card, but then on the back, what we actually have was, hold on. We actually have the 9 of Wands, which is interesting, because this 9 of Wands card is different from a lot of the other 9 of Wands that I've seen, because it really sees someone who is really not afraid to go into battle. Normally, when you get the 9 of Wands, it's someone who's like, they've kind of been through a good bit. They're kind of preparing for battle. They're kind of like maybe a little exhausted, a little worn out from the journey. But she, oh my goodness, look at this. She's ready to go. She's ready to go. So in many ways, there's that kind of energy right now where we're sort of like ready to go. We're ready to take off. We're ready to go into the next step in our journey. We're ready to move forward. Yeah, I suppose I'm going to go ahead and actually right after this talk, I'm going to lower the prices of my services. And it's not even so much, I'm not doing it because I'm like lowering the value. I'm still going to put the same amount of value into these services. I'm doing it because I want to make sure that my readings are as accessible as possible, because I know that there are some people that will gladly pay $125 for a reading, or $150 or $200 for a reading. And I know that I am good enough to charge that amount, but I want to make sure that they're as accessible as possible, because I have to do that. I really feel like I have to, because I want I want as many people to be as aware of their stars. I want as many people to be aware of their stars as possible. I really do. And the thing is that I even came to the realization like earlier, like a few days ago, that I'm probably not going to do readings my whole life. I will study astrology my whole life. I might even make videos about it my whole life, but I'm probably not going to do readings my whole life. I might do it for the next 10, 20, 30 years or so, but I'm not going to do it for my whole life because I have other things that I really want to do. And I probably will do them still. I'm not going to wait until 20, 30 years from now. I'm like, all right, I'm going to do the next thing. I'm going to still do them, but I think that I will get to a point where I don't do readings anymore and stuff. But I'm at the beginning of all that. I'm at the precipice of all that. I'm not, I'm just starting to get through. And I've done readings. I've done from readings for people, a lot of free readings and stuff like that. And that's kind of what you have to do to get going. But I want to make sure that they are as accessible as possible because I want to make sure that I want people to know about their stars. Because when I learned about my stars, and I really began to research this stuff and really get into it, like my understanding of myself and life and the people around me just grew exponentially. Did it explain everything? No, but damn, it explained a lot. It explained a lot more than anything else I studied. It explained so much more than anything else I studied. And it was like, yeah, sometimes I'll go several days without looking at what exactly is happening in the astrology that day. I kind of have a general idea. Like, here's the funny thing. So the moon was in Scorpio this past weekend. Now it's in Sagittarius. And whenever the moon transits Scorpio, because I'm a Scorpio sun, I've taken up this practice of going vegan during this time and to really, quote unquote, I don't know if I want to say be as spiritual as possible, but I've kind of done this thing to where I want to kind of keep things as pure as possible. Because I saw this actually on another peace talk that the peace dealer had. And one of the people that he had was Ryan Sage was talking about it. And he spoke about like when the moon transits your sun sign, this is like a very powerful time to really go into meditation, whether you actually meditate or, like I said, you eat cleaner. I completely forgot about it this go round. And normally I don't do that. I think since I've been doing it, I've missed it a couple of times. But the moon went into Scorpio, and I had shrimp at work, and I was like, "Oh fuck! I was not supposed to eat. I wasn't supposed to eat meat. I was supposed to be vegan this time." And I totally forgot about it. But like I said, astrology is one of those things that's really helped my life in such a great, powerful way. And I want to bridge that understanding and that understanding to other people, to as many people as I can, to as many people as I can. And I also know that astrology, I'm never going to stop talking about it. Even if I don't do readings forever, it's going to make it into my art. It's going to make it into my books and my poetry. It's going to be there. It's going to be interwoven, So, yeah, I'm just going to do the best I can, provide as best content as I can. You play vegan once a month. Yeah, I play vegan once a month. Yeah, I dip one toe in. I'm that guy. I dip one toe in, and I don't do much else. But here's the thing, though. Like, I don't eat pork or beef, and I haven't for a while. I've had it like maybe a handful of times since I've done that, and I haven't had pork and beef consistently, or it hasn't been like regular in my diet for several years now. Yeah. So. Seafood's hard to give up, and particularly shrimp, which is ironic because Scorpio kind of rules shrimp in a sense. And then, so it's like I'm eating myself. And then chicken is hard to give up. We don't really eat cheese like that. I mean, I had a quesadilla earlier, and it was good. We had some froyo earlier, but frozen yogurt, but like we usually just have almond milk and cashew milk and stuff like that. Even the ice cream that we'll buy for the home is cashew milk ice cream, which is delicious. Oh, so delicious. So good. So freaking good. So like I'm getting there. I'm working my way there. You Pisces moon, you eat your friends. Yeah, I eat my friends. I know that's one of my issues. It's like sometimes I feel like I stunt my own spiritual growth because I eat fish and I eat seafood. And I'm just like, I've had that thought where I'm just like, dude, you're a Pisces moon in the fourth house. Are you still gonna be eating shrimp and fish and all this sort of stuff? And the funny thing was is that for the longest time I didn't really eat fish because I had a bad experience last year eating sushi. Was it last year or was it the year before that? It was the year before that. It was 2017. I had a really bad experience eating sushi, like a bad experience. Like, I mean, it was what my stomach didn't hurt, but the subsequent bathroom breaks after that were terrible. And I was just like, it turned me off of sushi for like pretty much a year. I went like a year without eating sushi, and I love sushi. I went like a year without it, and I seldom ate salmon because that's really the only other fish that I would eat is salmon. I don't really eat fish like that. Really, the only seafood I eat is shrimp. I mean, I occasionally have some other stuff, but I had some sushi the other day, um, but and it was good. I didn't have any of the adverse side effects either. I was cool. But I mean, I am kind of starting to shift away from it. I just love shrimp so much. I don't know why. It took me a while. Yeah, it took me pretty much 2 years to get back into sushi. Like that was a bad experience. It really turned me off from sushi. I was like, "Are you kidding me? This did this to me? Ah, not good, man." Sushi is gross. Depends on the way you look at it. Sushi is really good. I just don't eat it nearly as much as I love salmon. I love salmon. Um, we're supposed to be talking about astrology. We're talking about sushi, but it's okay. Everything's connected. Honestly, I actually the reason why I like the lives is because it's very interactive. I get to talk about different things. Don't ask them about pizza. Pizza's the bomb. That's one of the reasons why I can't give up cheese. It's because honestly, that Daya cheese, that fake cheese sucks. It sucks. It's not good. It doesn't work. Sorry, it's not good. But I love me some pizza. Okay, I'm American. I love pizza. I love your real approach. I hate yes, hate divine goddess that wants you to empower you to find your soul through embracing your inner oracle. Yeah, I appreciate that. I think here's, and I want to make a video about this too, because this whole thing within the spiritual community that you have to meditate every day. And by meditate, I mean like the whole and you can do that. I've had incredible meditations where I got into like this deep state by chanting Om. I have. I've done it before. But there's this whole weird perpetuation within the spiritual community where you have to do that to be spiritual. Or you have to, I'm going to adjust this pineapple thing in a moment, but you have to do that to be spiritual. Or you have to be vegan to be spiritual. Or you have to go off and do ayahuasca in Peru to be spiritual. Or you have to um, be a self-help coach to be spiritual. That's another thing. It's interesting. Like you can't be spiritual and be a teacher in an elementary school, or you can't be spiritual and still work a corporate job. There are different modalities. Like some people work with astrology, some people work with tarot cards, some people work with affirmations, some people work with whatever. But everyone has their own. Life is spiritual. So to try and box it up, that's the thing about. You have to understand that Pisces does rule spirituality in a sense, and it's mutable water. It can't be contained. Water can't be contained. All right, water already can't be contained because the moment you try and hold it, yeah, I can have a glass, and I can have this perception of holding it, you know, and it can even appear to be still, which is like Scorpio. Pouring the water into it is like Cancer, but it's only because I have this glass, Taurus, that's actually able to hold, you know, the water and make it fixed. That's the only reason why Scorpio is fixed, because we have Taurus. You know, that's really the only thing that separates Scorpio from Pisces. But this is Pisces season. It's mutable water. You can't hold it, you know? So anytime that anyone tries to say that in order to be spiritual, and they may not say it, but it's definitely fucking implied. It's definitely fucking implied. Especially with this Mercury retrograde that we're going to have in Pisces. People are going to realize, oh, we have been implying that in order to be spiritual, you have to do this, this, that, and that. In order to be a part of this New Age movement, you have to be this, this, that, and that, you know? And you can even take it back to even just religion. It's like, in order to be saved, you have to do this. In order to be a part of this clique, you have to do these things. You know, it's like that. Or if you live with your partner out of wedlock, oh gosh, it's a sin. Or like, oh my goodness, if you do, like, you know what I mean? Like, we've been trying to box spirituality, but you can't box spirituality. Because in many ways, spirituality is ruled by Pisces, which is mutable water. What's the opposite sign? What's the opposite sign of Pisces? It's Virgo, which is mutable earth, which means that this glass will eventually break down. I can hold, like, you could put water in this glass and I can sit it on the ground, and it may sit there for 1,000 years, but eventually this glass will break and the water will come out of it. You can't box spirituality, period. You can't box it. Can't box it. Pineapple does go on pizza. That's all I'm going to say about that. I also do wish I meditated more. I think a part of the reason why I'm like, oh, you don't have to meditate every day to be spiritual. I do feel like I should meditate more, at least 15 minutes, you know, to actually like sit down and actually like kind of hone in and stuff like that. I do wish I meditated more, but I do think meditation also comes in many different ways and different fashions. Then Uranus enters your glass and turn it into ice. Now you need to emit frozen 2 resistance. Don't worry, the glass is gone long before Virgo. That's true. That is so true. But yeah, this is going to be a very. These shits are coming. Like, we have about a week before. We got to think about it. Over the next week, over the next 10 days, it's not a long time, we have Venus shifting into Aquarius. Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius. We have Mercury going retrograde in Pisces. And we also have Uranus moving into Taurus. Bam, bam, bam. Major shifts, right? So we're about to get this rev up of this fixed energy, which we don't have anything in fixed energy. You don't have anything in fixed energy. But in the next 10 days, we're about to get fixed energy. We're about to get Taurus energy, which is subsequently going to activate the access to Scorpio energy. So whenever the moon goes into Scorpio, you got to think the moon is going to now be opposing Uranus for the next 8 years in Taurus. For the next 8 years, which is going to be, you got to think the moon goes through the cycle once every 30 days. So it's about 12 times a year times about 8 years or so. It's going to make this opposition to Uranus at least 60 plus times. So now this whole axis is going to be activated. Of course, there will be other planets that go into Scorpio and make oppositions to Uranus as well. But this axis is about to be activated. And then now, of course, we have Venus moving into Aquarius, which means that the Aquarius-Leo axis is about to be activated as well. Which Venus is not going to spend as much time in Aquarius, but when the moon comes into Leo, it's going to activate it more. It's going to bring it more to the surface. So This is it, guys. Like, we only have a few days, man. We only have a few days left. And here's the thing. You don't have to get everything done in these few days. You're not supposed to. You're not supposed to know everything in the next few days. You're not supposed to get everything done in the next few days. You're not supposed to know your life purpose completely in the next few days. You're not supposed to. Take that pressure off yourself. Please. Please take that pressure off yourself. And I'm saying this to myself because I need to say it to myself, and I need to listen to these words. I really do. Take the pressure off of yourself. Okay? Take the pressure off of yourself. Uranus and Taurus will force us to grow our own food. Dude. Uranus, dude. The internet will go down for an extended period of time during Uranus and Taurus. It will come back online, but it will go down for an extended period of time. I don't know when it's going to happen. It will go down for an extended period of time. I don't know how long. A part of me said 6 months. That was the first thing that came up. Can you imagine this world, especially the Western world, without internet for 6 months? Can you imagine that? Do you know how great people are going to have to communicate with people in their environment and in their direct vicinity? People who are hermits that are clammed up in their houses and they don't talk to anybody. They sit at home playing games all day with people on the other side of the world or wherever, or maybe, who knows, maybe the person that they've been communicating with on that online video game lives 3 doors down and they have no fucking clue. And then they meet that person in the coffee shop and it turns out that it's a chick or whatever like that, or if it's if you feel that way, or maybe it's a chick that meets whatever like that, and they realize that they're lovers and they fall in love and they're like, holy crap, I've been playing this online game with you for the past 2 years and you live 3 doors down from me. Are you serious? Maybe if you came out of your fucking room once in a while, you would actually know that there are people out here. You know, the internet will crash at some point when Uranus goes into Taurus. It's going to be crazy. Just gotta have to use coconut wireless, right? Welcome, Justin. I appreciate you coming out and joining us. I would still like to do a reading for you, Spells Inc., but I mean, I can definitely guide you to your purpose, but you know, I mean, you have to still come into that in your own, like your own soul and stuff like that. But I can definitely help guide you to knowing your purpose and stuff like that. What's up, Justin? I appreciate you coming out. We're just talking about how the internet is going to crash at some point while Uranus is in Taurus, which Uranus will be in Taurus for the next 8 years. And yes, it will come back online, but at some point, Uranus is going to knock out the fucking internet. Just like, no, I'm going to just, it's like Uranus is going to take it away from us. And we're like, it's like a toy. Because really, the internet is a toy right now. Let's be real. The internet is a toy right now. And Uranus is going to take our toy away. It's like, you can have this back when you know how to use it properly. You can have this back when you don't use this to fuck with people the ways you've been fucking with people, okay? And we're going to be like, give me the internet back. And we're going to be like, okay, now that we don't have the internet, we actually have to talk to people again. We have to talk to people at our actual neighborhoods again. What's going to happen, dude? Oh, my gosh. It's going to be crazy. I'm going to freak out, too, guys. Don't get it twisted. I'm going to freak out, too. There's going to be people that, like, look at us and be like, oh, my gosh, they're really freaking out that bad. And these people that are going to be looking at us are in these tribes that really have little to no human contact from the outside world, and they're going to be astral projecting into our reality, you're like, this is the reason why our society has chosen to not integrate, because the collapse of the internet is going to cause this mad chaos, and they're going to be astral projecting themselves into our houses, watching us freak out, and then they're going to go back to their bodies in their very in their very secluded tribal communities, and then it's going to be like, I don't know, I'm just channeling. The internet is actually an invention that is meant to be very temporary. It really is. Like, I think the internet will go down at some point when Uranus is in Taurus. It'll come back online. I think it'll get killed again when Uranus goes into Scorpio, which is interesting because Uranus actually likes to be in Scorpio, but I think it'll get killed again when Uranus goes into Scorpio, which I guess we can look to see when that's going to happen. No, I'm not going to look at it right now. But where was I? The internet is really an invention that is used to connect us all, but it's meant to be a tool, not a crutch. Right now, it's becoming a crutch. It was not meant to be a crutch. It's actually meant to be temporary. Believe it or not, it's meant to be temporary because it's internet. It's the net that is within all of us that connects us to everything. It's the net within us. It's like each and every one of us is like this nodal point, and it connects us to everybody. And we're supposed to be able to speak telepathically. And the issue right now is that we have to have the internet, because otherwise people will be able to intercept. So like, you can, like, say if I wanted to have a conversation with someone that's in California right now, I'm in Georgia, and I wanted to have a conversation telepathically with someone in California. Right now, we're at a point where that communication, unless we were like really super high level mages, that connection, that telepathic connection, could easily be intercepted. So we need the internet to learn how to not subconsciously, to learn how to actually create a security system to where that interception won't happen as much. It can still happen, but right now, if we didn't have the internet and I were to try to telepathically communicate with someone from California, that telepathic communication would be more susceptible to being intercepted by somebody, and then they could that entity can even plant information within that would actually misconstrue the communication I'm trying to get to that person. That's why we have the internet right now. It's actually teaching us how to telepathically communicate. But we need it right now, and it's a primitive state, but we need it right now so we can learn how to actually do this without it getting intercepted. That's like how I can send an email to someone in California and it cannot be intercepted with relative ease. That can happen, right? But doing it just like mentally without the need for the internet, that's another story. So we have to learn how to be able to do that. There are mystic rituals involving DMT and mushrooms. Yeah, I have messed with astral projection a little bit. I'm more into lucid dreaming, but when I was young, I astral projected a lot. Actually, when I was younger. I have memories of falling into my body many times. 5G might replace Wi-Fi. It might. I actually don't think 5G is inherently bad, but I think that technology is evolving so rapidly fast that our bodies can't keep up with it. Because you got to think, the human body, the way that it is right now, has been relatively unchanged for eons. Whereas technology is evolving so fast that our bodies are trying to figure out how to react to it. So what's happening? It's reacting mostly in the form of diseases, and it's reacting in the form of, discomfort, the way that's moving so fast. Our bodies are having this. It takes a little bit while for our bodies to update, whereas technology is like, Because you got to think, even though innovation is ruled by Aquarius, which is fixed energy, it is the last fixed sign. Not only that, but it's the 11th sign in the zodiac. So it's constantly like, whereas the body, which is Taurus, is the second sign of the zodiac. So it's like, boom, boom. It has a slower revolution time. So it's like, whereas internet's like technology, our bodies are trying to catch up to it. So it's like, as this continues to progress, our bodies are trying to figure out, like, we're trying to figure out how to react. Like, our bodies are still trying to figure out how to react, and we're like barely adjusting to things that happened 5 years ago, the technology. But the way that technology is advancing, it's like, it's taking our bodies like longer to actually catch up to this. It's like, that's like, holy shit, like, you're just piling on more and more and more. It's like, I'm getting like this vision of like someone carrying books or like papers, and it's like, all right, I need you to file these papers and to sort through them. And the person's like, okay, that's fine. But then it's like 5 minutes later, they have like another big stack of papers to put on them. It's like, okay, I guess I can handle this. And then 5 minutes later, the boss has another big stack of papers. By the time you know it, they're carrying these papers and it's going to the ceiling. And there's this like, yo, just 20 minutes ago, I had a stack of papers that was only this thick that I had to sort through. Now the papers are stacked to the ceiling, and they're about to fall over, and you're about to be buried in it. That's what's happening right now. So we're like trying to figure out. This is why earlier in this talk, when I was talking about how there's an aspect of our consciousness or an aspect like a superpower that we have that's been paralyzed, it had to go paralyzed. It had to go through that paralysis, because if it didn't, we would be so overloaded by all of these papers that are stacking up. Now we have to sort through them, you know? Yeah, I actually have this orgone crystal. I have 3 orgone crystals like this, and then I also have a pyramid. So it actually helps to block out EMFs. Right now, my orgone crystal pyramid is actually sitting near my router. So what's interesting thing about this is that as I've had it, I have noticed an overall increase in my mood, but it also came simultaneously with some frustrations, because it was like, it's almost sort of like your body becomes addicted to the energies and to these radiations, so that when you begin to protect yourself from it, it's almost like you crave that radiation. You crave that energy. And then it's like, yeah, it's almost like detox yourself off it. It's kind of weird. But I'm starting to notice that it's actually helping itself. But let's hop into the charts, guys. I want to show you guys what's going on with these energies. Just real quick, anyways. Let's see. Share. All right. So here we have the energies for 11:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You have the moon in Sagittarius. All right, here's some cool things about this energy, by the way. Just want to let you know that we have a lot of pure energy going on right now. Why? Remember when I said that 3 energy actually rules Jupiter and Sagittarius? Look, we have the moon at 3 degrees of Sagittarius. We also have Jupiter at 21 degrees Sagittarius. 2 plus 1 equals 3. Capricorn energy is ruled by 8. Saturn, the ruler of Capricorn, is actually at 8, because we have 1 plus 7 equals 8. Isn't that awesome? We also have Venus, which will, in the next day, move to 26 degrees of Capricorn. and will also be at that 8 energy. Sun is at 7, which is ruled by Pisces and Neptunian energy. Mercury is also at 2 plus 5 equals 7. Also, like I said, that Neptunian energy. We have a lot of planets that are at these very critical, powerful degrees right now. So this week is kicking off in a way where we are kind of getting this purity energy of the Sagittarius quality, this Capricorn quality, even this Pisces quality. You can even see that the ruler of Pisces, Neptune, is at 15 degrees. I don't know if it'll come to 16 degrees by the end of the week, but we can look at that. But it's really quite amazing to see what's going on here. Now, we do have this opposition that's going to happen, always in the middle of the night here, where Venus is going to conjunct the south node at 25 degrees and oppose the north node. Now, the reason why I say that Venus is really the main aspect or the main planet that's going to be in focus is, yeah, we're going to have Venus trining the north node. Yeah, we'll have Sun sextiling Mars. I'm not saying that these things aren't big, but we also have this right here. We have Venus at the edge of Capricorn, making a square to Uranus and Aries. Now, the reason why this is really powerful is because this is actually a reminder of the Mars retrograde that we had last year in Capricorn. You remember, Mars actually retrograded in Capricorn last year. It went to 9 degrees of Aquarius and retrograded back to about 28 degrees or so of Capricorn. And this is really huge because Mars rules Aries. That's where Uranus is right now. And Mars went into Aquarius and retrograded out of Aquarius back into Capricorn, and that's the ruler of Uranus. So there's this interesting reception that Venus and Uranus is going to have right now, especially at the edge here. This is going to bring a lot of edge, 29, which equals 11, which is a master number and is ruled by Virgo energy, no less. And of course, this energy is being activated. And look at this. The sun's going to be at 10 degrees that day, 38 solar minute. And if we move this forward, the sun, let's see, it's interesting, just as the sun reaches 11 degrees of Pisces, the moon would have shifted into Aquarius. But this is really kind of even reminding us of that full moon lunar eclipse that we had. The full moon lunar eclipse that we had in Leo, which is really powerful. It happened at 0 degrees. Not only that, but the moon's going to be smack dab in the middle of Pluto and Saturn. It's really going to be a great opportunity for us. Like I said, there's not really much coddling energy right now. There really isn't much coddling energy right now. But this is going to be a great opportunity for us to move forward. Why? We have the moon at 19 degrees here. 1 plus 9 is 10. And 10 is actually ruled by Taurus energy. Look who's in Taurus. Mars, also at 10 degrees. Look what else has a 10. Mercury, 2 plus 8 equals 10. So I want to bring your attention to these numbers because they are very important. But this is going to be, on Friday, it's going to be sort of this day where we really do decide to move forward. We really do decide to move forward, irregardless of the circumstances, irregardless of what's happened to us. We really are deciding to move forward. On the next day, we're going to have Venus making a sextile over to Chiron at 0 degrees. Once again, activating this moment when we had the full moon lunar eclipse in Leo, when the sun was at 0 degrees of Aquarius and the moon was at 0 degrees of Leo. In many ways, it's going to be reactivated because you have to understand when aspects happen, we also have to consider, say, like a planet right now is making an aspect to something that happened in the past. And I know that's getting a little deep and a little complex, but when they happen on these degrees like this, especially in this case, it's very important. So Venus will be where the sun was during that eclipse, opposing where the moon was, and Chiron will be sextiling where the sun was and where Venus currently is, and it will be trining where the moon was. Where's the moon at this case? 23 degrees of Capricorn. That's where it's going to be. 2 plus 3 equals 5. 5 is ruled by Mercury, and Mercury is at 28 degrees of Pisces. So there's this interesting aspect where it's like we're going to kind of want to conceptualize and make logic of a lot of this, but it's like even though you're going to be ready to move forward on Friday, come Saturday, you're going to be like, okay, I'm ready to move forward, but I don't really know how this is all going to work out. I don't really have any kind of logical basis for how this is going to work out. I can kind of feel into my direction. I can kind of feel into my purpose. The moon would have just came off of this conjunction to Pluto, but it's almost going to be like Pluto's going to almost destroy any type of expectations that we had. It's like, you thought you were going to do this, or you thought it was going to go this way, but not quite. This is going to Saturday, Friday going into Saturday is really going to be this let go and let Goddess kind of energy. It really is. And of course, the sun being at 11 degrees of Pisces, in many ways activates this axis with Virgo, because Virgo is the ruler of that 11 energy. And it's the first master number, which is why in many ways Virgo does rule perfection in a sense, because it rules 11. So it's going to be like, honestly, if you really take a step back on Saturday and look at your life, you're going to realize that things are exactly the way they should be. Things are exactly the way that they should be. Look what else is at 11. Uranus, 2 plus 9 equals 11. Really close. Hey, look at this. We have Neptune getting ready to move to 16 degrees of Pisces. That's huge. It's about to hit that degree. 1 plus 6 is 7. We'll bite the Piscean energy. Very powerful. So by the time that we come to Sunday, look at that. The moon's going to cross over Venus. The moon, of course, likes to cross over Venus. And the good thing about this is that, the moon in Aquarius is a little bit more emotionally removed from things. They care, but at the same time, they understand that they have to kind of move along to the next person. But with the conjuncting Venus, it's going to be nice because it's going to give us a little bit more empathy. Neptune is going to move to 16 degrees. So 1 plus 6 is 7. So we're going to feel a little bit more spiritually in tune. Sunday's going to be a very, very spiritual day. It really is. Even for those, of course, who are engaged in more of religious aspects, it's going to be a lot more of a spiritual day. But here's the thing: Mercury's going to be at 29 degrees, adding to the 11s. Look how many 11s we have. 2 plus 9 is 11. 2 plus 9 is 11. Mars is at 11. So even though Sunday's going to be a bit of a spiritual day, it's still going to add this element of uncertainty, because even though it's going to be like, oh, everything's perfect, everything is the way that it should be, we are actually moving and building towards something. You're going to see many synchronicities over the weekend. That's another video I need to make about synchronicities, because people in the spiritual community really trip out about synchronicities, and they trip out about numbers, and I guess I'm kind of tripping out about numbers because I'm like, oh, look at these numbers add up to that, and these numbers add up to that. But it's like a lot of people will be like, oh my gosh, I saw 222, and I saw 333, and I saw 444, and I'm like, yeah, that's cool, it's great, it really is. Don't get me wrong, but when you're on this journey, you get into it, the synchronicities, however you want to pronounce it, they become fine-tuned to your journey. And it doesn't just have to do with seeing repeating numbers. They are very fine-tuned synchronicities. Leo, why are you biting my toe? It doesn't hurt. Leo. My cat, guys. Anyways, that's kind of the week in a nutshell. So, the moon is going to be in Sagittarius, and throughout this week, it's going to move through Aquarius. And look at all the energies that it has to come on top of. Coming on top of Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto, and Aquarius. So the moon, as opposed to the last several days, it hasn't had to cross anything. It hasn't had to conjunct anything. It went through all of these signs without having to cross anything. Now it's about to hit, ooh, the big load. About to hit Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto, Venus. All of this on the way to the new moon, which will happen at 15 degrees of Pisces. Pretty intense. So that's the week in kind of a nutshell. It's going to be a very powerful week. It's going to be, in many ways, a sort of last push, but at the same time, the energies are kind of slow down a bit. But we need this slowdown. We need the slowdown. So if you feel like you've been moving towards things and you're wanting things to progress, it's not like you're not going to get things done and move things forward, but it's going to be like, I remember watching Animal Planet. I used to love watching Animal Planet. I used to love watching Animal Planet. I don't have cable anymore. But I remember there was this whole series where it was like the top 10 whatever. It'd be like the top 10 fastest animals, the top 10 this, whatever like that. And the top 10 fastest animal, it wasn't the cheetah that was number one. I think the cheetah was like number 2 and number 3. I think the top 2 was like cheetah, the peregrine falcon was up there. It was like a fish. But the fastest animal pound for pound was actually a bug. And it moves so fast that when it runs, its vision begins to blur. It's almost like it's hyperspace jumping. You know how like you see like in the movies, like in the sci-fi movies, when a ship is going to do like a hyperspace jump, that the stars just appear like streaks. That's kind of what this bug does. It's like when it starts to move really, really fast, everything looks like streaks and it's like blurry. Right now, everything is blurry because all planets are moving forward and they've been moving forward for such a long time. Not only that, but it's hard to even try to come to some sort of logical sense of what's happening because Mercury is in Pisces. So things are not only blurry and moving fast, but we can't even make sense out of it. And if you try to make sense out of it, you're getting burnout. You're going crazier. It's almost like the universe wants you to go crazy, and trying to make logical sense out of the craziness is actually going to make you crazier than you just taking the drug itself. Metaphorically, unless you actually want to take the drug itself. Like trying to make sense of what's going on right now is almost worse than taking the drug itself. That's the weird thing about it. You know? We need to slow down. We need this Mercury retrograde. We need this Uranus shift because with it, it's going to give us a deeper perspective into our inner world, especially, and it's going to give us more clarity on how to move forward. It really is. And like I said, like some people aren't going to really like it, especially if you like speed, but it's very necessary. It is so necessary. Let me get caught up on these comments real fast. I'm a gemstone karma also collects and import from mines. My freelance buyers. Oh, gemstone carver. That's really cool. You should create 10 ways Uranus and Taurus will fuck up your life. I should. That would be a hilarious video. I actually do have some interesting content coming your way because I want to, not only just talk about astrology in this aspect, where it's like I kind of bring a bit of a serious tone to it, but I also want to bring a little more entertainment to the channel as well because it's like, sometimes it's like, why so serious? You know what I mean? And yes, I want to bridge understanding and the understanding of astrology to other people and stuff, but I also want to make sure that when people come to my channel, they have a good time. I really do. So yeah, I'll talk about the deep stuff. I'll talk about the serious stuff. I also want to have some fun, which is why my Smash Brothers thing is I made a video earlier about Smash Brothers and how I'm going to relate it to seeing who's the best sign in the zodiac. The 12 signs, who's the best. Since we've been having that debate for a long time, who's the best, and I'm going to let Smash decide who's the best sign in the zodiac. But and that's not going to just be a simple process. I have like a whole thing that I figured out today. I mean, I've already been thinking about it anyways, but I actually came up with like the format of it, and I'm really excited to bring that content to you all. So, but yeah, I'm really excited about that. And yeah, I'm really excited, honestly. I'm actually excited for this. Ironically, I'm excited for Uranus to go into Taurus. I'm definitely excited that Chiron is finally out of Pisces. I'm a 28 degrees Pisces moon. Chiron has been on top of my moon for a long time, guys. It was like it felt like I was bleeding out, and then it was like Chiron went into Aries and they stopped the bleeding, and then Chiron's like, wait a minute, you're not done bleeding yet. And Chiron came back and took a knife and just like, and I'm like, ah, fuck. Ah, it's gushing out. I thought you fixed me. Ah. And I'm like, I was bleeding out again, and now that Chiron's got in Aries, I'm like, okay, I'm good, 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 good. Are you sure I'm not gonna bleed out again, Doc? Yeah, I'm sure. We got it right this time. All right, all right. I came in for the second operation. You said I wasn't gonna bleed out the first time. I've been bleeding out, and I'm okay now. I'm here. I'm good. Chiron and Aries is unlocking everybody's warrior potential. Chiron and Pisces was really difficult because we were able to really feel into the world's drama and the world's pain. And it really fucking hurt in many ways. And we were really feeling into our spiritual pain. Chiron and Aries, it does take a bit of that attention that puts it back on the person and the persona. We also have to consider that if we look at it from Chiron's point of view, Chiron and Pisces, Chiron rules Virgo, which is opposite of Pisces, so it's the seventh house. So a lot of this has to do with relationships, especially when it comes to romantic partnerships and family. And of course, friends, stuff like that. But there are a lot of, and of course, people at large. So we were healing a lot of these aspects. Now that Chiron is in Aries and it's trying to get back home to Virgo, Virgo is now the sixth house. So what's going to happen is that this is going to bring up people's sense of service and duty to the world, health. Chiron and Aries is really going to reactivate the warrior in everybody, but it's also going to bring reality to the truth of who we are in this moment. So it's going to be like our attention as far as the healing is going to be taken off of, not that the collective won't, not that we're not going to focus on the collective, but it's being taken off of the collective wounding, and it's going to bring it to the personal wounding, which is huge, and it's what we need right now, because we need to not necessarily focus on the collective wounding right now. We need to focus on the personal wounding right now. That was the whole 2012 shift, and that's why subconsciously we did heal the collective, even though it doesn't seem like it right now. But with Chiron going into Aries, it's going to be an opportunity for us to really begin to heal our own personal wounds when it comes to our ego, our initiation energy, our warrior self. So no wonder he's a wounded healer. He's a Virgo. And it's kind of interesting, yeah, how it works out that way. But, you know, it's interesting with the whole Chiron energy and how it relates to Virgo. And I can even see that, it's like, you got to think, if Virgo rules, the Virgin, it rules, in many ways, you can almost even say it kind of rules pregnancy in a sense. Because it's like the whole birthing process is a painful process. And it does leave, and I can't say because I'm not female in this incarnation, but I've been female in past incarnations. I have my South Node in Cancer, so I know I have been. It's in the 8th house. So I know I've been that caretaker plenty of times before. But it leaves that birthing process and that pain that you feel from it does leave an emotional scar on the mother. It does. So it's like, and it's interesting how children are born through trauma, essentially. But then it's a beautiful thing at the same time. It's so weird. It's so counterintuitive how children are born through trauma, but it's like the miracle of life, you know? And that's the interesting thing about the Virgo Pisces axis. So it's like, yeah, we come into this world and we come into this world pure. We come into this world with really no type of conditioning. The only conditioning that we really have is, well, the astrology. Once we like take our first breath and the astrology becomes downloaded into our body in the blueprint, but really we don't have any conditioning, and then we begin to get conditioned upon, and we have to deal with all that aspects and stuff like that. But it's like we're born through that trauma of childbirth, and that affects the mother and it affects, you know, the kid and the child. So it's a very interesting thing with Chiron. And the thing about the wounded healer is that, like, it's not bad. It's not. It really isn't. It can be tough, but Chiron is a warrior. You have to remember, Chiron is still a badass fucking warrior. Chiron, Chiron will make heads roll. We have to remember that. Like, Chiron was immortal, and then he was shot by his own teammate. Yeah, and then he gave up his immortality to become a constellation. Yeah, that's the mythology, anyways, behind it. But Chiron, just because he got shot, didn't take away from his ability to be a fucking boss on the battlefield. And Chiron going into Aries is reigniting our boss status on the battlefield. So it's going to be a great opportunity for people to really pick themselves up. He does work too much, though. I agree. The PokeTuber community has lots of top 10 ideas. I love the PokeTuber community. I tried to do PokeTube for a while. I had like cards, but I have like 2 giant binders of cards. But yeah, they have a lot of good ideas for that. I believe in you, Lauren. I believe in you. I'm right here with you. You best believe. So I had the Sun card and I had the 8 of Wands. I'm gonna pull one more card. We had the 2 of Pentacles in reverse. 2 of Pentacles in reverse. And it's interesting. I actually didn't read the other card that I drew. It was the 9 of Wands. So let me read the 9 of Wands, and then let me read the 2 of Pentacles real fast. So the 9 of Wands. In between battles, you build your fortress stronger. Rest. You have earned it. It's kind of awesome because I really do feel like in many ways we just got done with a huge battle. And we kind of are resting between spiritual battles right now. And it's like we are preparing ourselves for the next step. That's really what's happening. And like I said, just now I drew the 2 of Pentacles in reverse, which for me, I'm feeling that it's like the 2 of Pentacles, it's like when you manifested one thing and then you're like, okay, I figured out how to build this thing. Let me build another. So it's like taking the next step. But the 2 of Pentacles in reverse, it's like we don't know necessarily how we're going to take the next step. So it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's the next step isn't necessarily fully clear to us. This is what requires that faith. This is what requires that we put our trust in something greater than ourselves. You know. So let me read the 2 of Pentacles one fast in here. Riches come, then go. Money is motion flowing, infinite resources. That's the cool thing about it. It's like, you know, things come and go. This is the ebbs and flow. You know, you can put one step in front of the other. You can have one idea and it can go away, but it's infinite abundance. It's constantly moving. It's constantly shifting. So it's like you can feel poor today, but you will be abundant tomorrow. You can be abundant today and you may feel poor tomorrow. But really, the fact that this cycle is cyclical means that you are infinitely abundant. And honestly, this whole idea of poor and then rich is actually just a perception. It really is a perception based off of this idea that by having this particular material resources or these different things, that means that this person is rich and this person is poor. There are, and I've even listened to the Leo King talk about it, how he lives in a pretty uppity part of Los Angeles. How he'll look around and that there are people in like these very beautiful, extravagant cars, and they're miserable. They have a lot of money too, but they're miserable. Yeah, you can go to a random small village in China where everyone pretty much works in rice fields and they're smiling the whole time. They're just happy that they get to see the sun and they're just rich in attitude. But you can go to some of the richest places, and that's not all rich people. It's not all people in these areas, in these like really abundant, prosperous areas, perceivably. But you can go to some of these areas, and these people are like they're miserable. But they have freaking Rolls Royces. They have multi-million-dollar houses. They have a helicopter pad on top of their house, and they're still upset. They're still not happy. That should be an indication. This whole idea that we have to strive for something, and that this whole idea of making it is fucking bullshit. You make it when you make it. You make it when you really feel that abundance and that truth and that joy within. Some people's version of making it is being a teacher at a high school. Some people's version of making it is being a firefighter. Some people's version of making it it's different. Everyone's version of making it is different. But this whole idea that making it is you're a multimillionaire with this in the bank, with this many cars, with this kind of a house, and blah blah blah. It's fucking a perception, and it's bullshit. It's not bullshit that reality and that lifestyle can't give you happiness. It's bullshit that it's the only reality and lifestyle that will give you happiness, and that is proven. You can see that in the world. You can see it in the world, because if that was true, that's what it was, we wouldn't have people constantly trying to. If they made a certain amount of money and they were happy, you want to see people go through the links that they do to maintain their wealth. And by that, I mean they wouldn't go through the links like illegally and just underhandedly to retain their wealth, because they'd be like, I got it. Why do I have to try and if you really appreciate something, you'll be willing to let it go. That's the weird thing about it, because it'll come right back to you. And that's that weird thing. That's a weird thing. It's a true appreciation it's not trying to just hold on to something. It's like me picking up my cat Leo. He doesn't necessarily like being picked up. And I can hold him and hold him and hold him. And he'll let me hold him for some period of time. But eventually he's going to be like, and he's going to try and claw his way out of my grasp. I usually put him down before then. I have to be willing to let him go and to put him down. Otherwise, he's going to scratch my fucking face. I have to be willing to put him down so he can go off and do whatever he does, whatever cats do. Eat treats, drink his water, lays and sunbathe, But I have a deeper appreciation for my cat, because it's like I can't just hold him forever. I have to be willing to let him go. So that's kind of this energy. It's like we have to be willing to also learn how to let things go. But there are people that aren't willing to let things go because they don't actually appreciate it. They're ruled by it. They're addicted to it. They're addicted to it in a very, I can't believe I'm about to use this word, in a very toxic way. I don't like the word toxic. I feel like it kind of triggers me now, honestly, that word. This is what happens when you bring Aquarius suns together. This is what happens. Leo is a Leo, by the way. Leo is a Leo. He is Leo full through. I'm pretty like we're like 99% sure that he's a Leo. Even if he acts like a Leo, like he really does. Like he's Leo through and through. He is a Leo. So it's Leo, come here. Let's see if I can get him to come up here. Leo. He's like sitting in my little tray thing. Right here. Nah, he's not gonna come up here. He's doing his own thing. He's on one of his many thrones. He has several thrones in our apartment. But he's a Leo. So yeah. It was funny because when we went to go get him from the shelter, he was 5 years old. He was the oldest cat there. He was the oldest resident. And most of the other cats there were kittens. So he was literally sitting on like this ledge above everyone, above all the other kittens and stuff like that. He was at like the highest point. He was just sitting up there chilling while all the kittens were like running around and playing and being rambunctious. And he was just like sitting there on his throne. And like he was the king of the cats. He was the king of the shelter with like the cats and the kittens. And me and my fiance literally plucked him out of his throne room and we brought him to our apartment. And he was pissed. He was pissed for about a month or so. And he finally, I mean, he made himself home. You know, he made himself comfortable within like the first day. Like he really did. But he was pissed for like the first like month or so. He would attack my ankles. It was annoying. He actually would attack my ankles for like a while. He stopped attacking them. Now he'll kind of hug them. But I'm like, I don't even like it when he does that. But, you know, he's a Leo. He's a Leo through and through. It was funny because we actually got him during Leo season as well. And I wrote a poem about it. So, yeah. But in any event, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. And Balls Inc., you need to get some sleep. But I appreciate you joining. I really do. And this is going to be a very powerful week. This Venus shift into Aquarius. It's the last week of Mercury direct. There's a lot of powerful things happening right now. And like I said, it's kind of like we're kind of like that bug right now. We're like moving really, really, really fast. And things are, all the lines are blurred right now. Oh my gosh, all the lines are blurred. If we try and define anything right now, it's so hard to try and define things. But the lines are blurred right now. We can't see. We're like going through a hyperspace jump. But things are about to slow down, which is good because it's going to allow us to gather our bearings. It's going to allow us to kind of gather our footing so we can move forward in a very, very powerful, positive way. And yeah, what do we have here? We actually have Judgment here. We have the Judgment card I just pulled. Underneath Judgment. Oh, underneath Judgment, we actually have the Nine of Cups in reverse. This is actually saying that don't let, ooh, you know what this is? You know what this is, guys? Don't let anyone judge you on your emotional fulfillment. If there is something that emotionally fulfills you, don't let anyone's judgment of that emotional fulfillment block you from feeling that. Because you can feel bad about the way that you feel about something. But if you really feel fulfilled about it, you won't let anyone's judgment of that override the way that you feel. You won't let anyone do that. And then we do have also the Seven of Cups in reverse. So this is like the card in the back. So it's like we have the Judgment card, the Nine of Cups, and the Seven of Cups in reverse. The Seven of Cups in reverse here is speaking to there is really but one option open. But in order for us to see it, we have to slow down. We have to be willing to pause. We have to be willing to pause and allow this. We have to allow it to come to us. It's almost like we're walking into a grocery store and we just kind of set the cart there and all of the things that we need in our cart just like magically float into our cart. That's kind of the way that you want to look at it. It's like, instead of going to look for, what do you want? You have to let it come to you. And you do that by resonating at the frequency of that. Don't worry, Spells Inc. Even if the internet goes down, we'll be able to psychically communicate. We'll be able to telepathically communicate. I don't think the internet will go down until we establish at least some ability to be able to psychically communicate long distantly. It's easier to communicate long distance with family members than it is with quote unquote random people on the internet and stuff like that. It's easier to do it with family members and it's easier to do it with lovers, but we're still learning how to be able to do it with, I guess you could say, quote unquote random people on the internet, although we're obviously all part of the same soul group. But Uranus won't just take it away without us getting some type of ability to communicate telepathically. But it probably will happen. Then again, I don't quite know. That's the thing about Uranus. Uranus will surprise you. Maybe it won't go down. Maybe we'll get virtual reality instead of. What'll be crazy is that if we get, oh gosh, that's I'll go ahead and say it. If it does go down and we have like that whole virtual reality thing, and when we go into something and then the internet goes down while we're inside the virtual reality, which who knows, that could already be happening right now. But it's like, what if we had like virtual reality when Uranus reaches Taurus, and then we go inside the virtual reality, and then the internet like shuts down for like 6 months, and we're trapped inside the game? Ooh, that would be interesting. That's a story ready to be written. But in any event, that is it for this Monday Night Musings. I hope you all enjoy it. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. And if you'd like a personal reading with me, beloved, you can follow the link in the description below to astrofenixx.com. And I probably, like I said, will lower my prices on there because I want to make sure that the readings are as accessible as possible. And of course, look out for I'm probably going to make a hype video soon about this thing that I have planned for with Smash Ultimate on the channel. So you got to understand, I'm a nerd, guys. So look out for that. And this is something I normally would put on a second channel, but as requested actually by you, Spells Inc., I remember you said, like, put all my videos out on Astro Fenixx because, all of them will be supported, which I really appreciate that. So normal price right now for my services, as it's listed right now, is Tier 1 is $75, Tier 2 is $100, and Tier 3 is $125. The Tier 3 reading is going to be a 60-minute video recording, at least 60 minutes. You also will get a chance to talk to me in a live Skype or video call. Tier 2 will be a 45 to 60-minute reading, live video, a recorded video. Tier 1 is a 30 to 45-minute recorded video. So that's where it is at this current moment. It's all linked to my website, www.astrofenixx.com/shop. Everything was right there. It should be in the link in the description below. If it's not, then I will link it right after this video. But in any event, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. I love you all so much. Thank you so much for joining me. And as always, my beautiful brothers and sisters, always remember to keep moving forward, to stay focused, and Yahoo! Smile often. Now that I think about it, this is the second to last Monday Night Musings that will happen in this apartment because we're going to be moving soon. Peace.